Find me, Jose Monkey.
You asked me to figure out where this video was recorded, so I did. Hi, I'm Jose Monkey, and I find people who ask to be found. People love to ask me how I would go about finding a place when there's no Google Street View coverage. And I've actually found several places where there was no Street View available, and it definitely makes it much more difficult to confirm the location. Today's video is a great example of that, and it was pretty tricky to find. Take a look.
Find me, Jose Monkey. All right, this is my third try. What can we see? I'll get out of the way. Good luck.
So what can we see?
Yo, bro's wearing my shirt.
You are correct, Chad. That is the custom Find Me Jose Monkey shirt that Karen from Lettering by Karen designed for us last year. Coincidentally, yesterday happens to be the 1-year anniversary of when I found Karen in Hapeville, Georgia. Hey, Karen. Anyway, I should mention that the person in this video is actually one of my mutuals, but all I really know about him is that he's from Vermont, he travels a whole bunch all over the world, and he tells hilarious dad jokes.
I will always remember what my grandfather said before he kicked the bucket. He said, "Watch how far I can kick this bucket."
That's funny.
Right? So if you're into that sort of thing, maybe go check out his stuff. Having said that, the fact that I knew this person didn't really help me find this place at all, and I did not look at any of their other videos to try to get clues. But let's talk about the video. We can see he's on a path here, and we've got what appear to be dry stone walls, and also nearby what look like ruins. There's a rather large body of water here, and we can see some land across the water that is either islands or just a far shoreline. We've got what look like some pretty big mountains there. And other than that, all we can really see is that there are a bunch of trees around, and a few houses here and there, and a couple of power lines. Now, when I first saw what I assumed were ancient ruins here, my mind immediately went to places like Machu Picchu in Peru. But I didn't think that was right for two reasons. First, this body of water that we see wouldn't make any sense if this was Machu Picchu. That is not located anywhere near a large body of water.
Well, maybe it's just someplace else in Peru.
Well, see, that's the second thing, because this person actually told me that one of the videos they sent me, and I was pretty sure they meant this one, was going to be in a new country for me. And I was pretty sure that I'd found somebody in Peru once before. So that couldn't be it. So I figured I might need to cast a pretty wide net to try to find this place. I started just Googling for photos of ruins and paths going through them, and I got a lot of not very helpful results, including a bunch of results for Elden Ring, which was hilarious. Anyway, I kept finding all different places all around the world, but none of them looked even remotely right to me. Honestly, some of the results that looked closest to what I was seeing were from the Inca Trail in Peru, but I skipped those because I wasn't focusing on Peru. I figured I should really try to identify what this large body of water was. As I was Googling for photos of ancient ruins, I got some results that were near Lake Titicaca.
Yo,
Which is a large lake that lies on the border between Peru and Bolivia. So I was thinking if this was near there, maybe it was on the Bolivian side. So I started looking at a few different places in Bolivia, specifically Isla del Sol, because some of the photos I found for that place seemed to look similar to what we see in the video. And I really thought I was on the right track. But guys, I looked all over that island, and I could not find a single place that seemed like a plausible match for what I was looking for. I was starting to get a little bit discouraged at that point, and I had a new idea. I thought maybe if I could identify some of the foliage that we see in the video, that might help me figure out what part of the world this was. And Google kept trying to tell me that these plants were all eucalyptus trees. And I don't even know if that's true, but if that were true, it would be helpful, because there are over 700 types of eucalyptus trees, but most of them are native to Australia. So I actually spent about 15 or 20 minutes looking at various different places in Australia that I thought could possibly be right. But before too long, I convinced myself that that was probably a wild goose chase, and I abandoned that. But honestly, the most promising results I'd seen were the ones near Lake Titicaca, so I decided to look there again. So I did a search for Lake Titicaca Trail to see what kinds of photos I would get.
sorry.
And among them, I saw this photo. And I knew right away that this had to be taken from somewhere very close to where the video was recorded. So I followed the link, and I discovered that that photo was taken on an island called Amantani. That is an island in Lake Titicaca. But guys, it's in Peru.
Bro, are you sure you found somebody in Peru before?
Haven't I? Trying hard not to think about all the time I had wasted by avoiding results from Peru, I dove in to see what I could find from that island. And it didn't take too long before I found a user-submitted drone photo on Google Maps that showed me this view. And I could tell that all the landmarks across the water looked very much like what we see in the video. This landmass that I recognized in the video is the tip of this peninsula that juts out into the lake. Confirming the exact spot where the video was recorded was going to be tricky, and I'll explain more about that in a moment. But guys, that was it. You were here, on this path, in Amantani, Peru. Okay, so there were no user-submitted photos on Google Maps at ground level anywhere near where this video was recorded. And there was no Google Street View. And there really weren't any nearby businesses that would have photos to help me either. Fortunately, that drone photo that I found was a 360-degree photo, and it showed us the ground as well. I knew you had to be in here somewhere. I spent several minutes comparing what we see in that photo to what we see in your video, trying to match up as many landmarks as I could. And my best guess is that we were standing right in this area over here. I say that based on several small details that I was able to confirm, but perhaps the easiest one to visually recognize is this structure that we see right here. If you move in a straight line from where I believe you were standing, then we see a structure that looks very much like what we see in your video. So that's about as close as I can get here. I don't really see a better way to confirm the exact spot unless you happen to know the exact coordinates you were standing at. So I acknowledge that I could be off by, I don't know, a couple hundred meters.
Close enough. Take the win, dog.
I'm really curious how much time I would have saved if I hadn't been avoiding results in Peru all that time, mistakenly thinking that I'd already found someone there. But now that I have found someone in Peru, I can add it to my list of countries in which I've found people so far. That brings the total number of countries to 63. Okay, it's time to check which previous location was closest to this one. Not only have I never found anyone in Peru before, I haven't even found anybody even close to this place. The closest previous spot was in Season 3, Episode 32, in Las Condes, Chile. That's nearly 2,000 kilometers or over 1,200 miles away from this spot. Guys, go check out the map of all the places I've found so far from the videos that you've sent me. And while you're there, maybe go check out my store or my new Patreon. And if anybody else wants me to find them, record a video where you say, "Find me, Jose Monkey," or something like that, on camera, or hold up a sign that says something similar. And don't forget to tag me in a comment on that video.